Greetings, my name is Turdin and I once again have no idea how to start this video. So about 20 mazillion years ago, there was a very big snake, just kind of chilling under the sea. But that's not really important right now. What is important are yokai, who lived above the sea and were constantly fighting and murdering each other. Until one day, humans showed up, and the yokai just got kind of embarrassed and stopped. The humans worshipped the gods, which were actually secretly two gods, who were also twins called Makoto and A. Makoto being the tinky one, and A being the fighty one. And together they made a pretty good team and did a pretty alright job of ruling Inazuma. Then one day, the above averagely sized snake under the sea got kind of bored or something and decided to come up to the surface, and he brought a whole lot of people with him. But he promised to stay on their own island, which he just sort of created, and that they wouldn't bother everyone else, so they were allowed to stay and things were pretty cool. For about 10 minutes. Because as it turns out, this newly formed island didn't have any food on there. So the quite humongous snake decided to attack twin territory to get more food, so its people wouldn't die from not eating food. So the two armies had a pretty alright time just kind of slapping the other side around, until one day this random samurai dude thought to pick a fight with this random Tengu dude, who happened to be best friends with A, and the Tengu dude got completely sideways shish kebabbed and died. Now, here's a Raiden Shogun fun fact. She doesn't quite appreciate her friends being murdered. So she got what some might call a bit pissed, and cut the sizeable Serpentes, as well as the island they were fighting on, in two, which kind of caused the entire Snake Island army to collectively crap their pants and surrender, since they quite enjoyed not being cut in half as well. But they did promise to be chill for realsies this time, so the twins just kind of let it slide. Oh, and the body of the beak snack began pissing out evil magic radiation that began killing people, but that's not really important right now. I'm sure it won't become a problem later on. With all these snake shenanigans done, the twins went back to ruling Inazuma and vibing out with all their other best friends. They ate nice food, played games together, and overall just had a really good time. Or at least they did, until one day the evil monsters from hell attacked and began doing very many evil things, like licking the doorknobs, pissing in the kitchen sink, and murdering the twins' friends. Well, they technically only murdered one, and they tried to eat the other, but then she unate herself, but then she went banana toast crap shit insane, and then she tried to kill A, but you get the idea. As the situation continued to go from quite unpleasant to incredibly unpleasant, Makoto, being the grand intellectual that she was, decided to try and find a way to fix the situation, by which I mean going down to hell all by herself without the assistance of her very fighty and very strong twin sister. But unlike what you might expect from such an incredibly well thought out idea, she actually did a pretty good job. As it turns out, the evil hell monsters were actually misunderstood, and no, I'm just screwing with you, she totally died. Which then also made a big tree appear in Inazuma somehow, because timey-wimey things, but the tree is very pretty, so everyone was just kinda chill with it. And after what we might assume was an ass-kicking of legendary proportions, A returned back to Inazuma and became the one shogun to rule them all, as well as becoming incredibly philosophically depressed about the inevitable march of time and decay of all things. Turns out that good times never really last forever, and it's ultimately the nature of time to keep moving on. But what if it just didn't? Though. So A began tinkering with ways to make things stay good forever, and to that end she made this robot flesh puppet thing called Kunikuzushi, which roughly translates to large hat man, in the hopes that he would help her with her goal of establishing an eternity of good vibes. But he didn't, as he was too much of a bitch. So she kicked him out and also took away his powers, which I'm sure won't come back to bite anyone later on. Despite the small boy setback, she kept pushing on and eventually managed to actually do things right this time, and created another flesh puppet robot thing that looked exactly like her. And upon its awakening, she finally unveiled her grand vision of eternity. That being to have the puppet do it for her while she pieces out and meditates in a pocket dimension, which she does, certain that there was no way this unfeeling android could possibly mess things up. To everyone's surprise, it almost immediately began messing things up, and decided that the best way to keep eternity would be by closing the country down and taking everyone's visions away, having probably come to the logical conclusion that a bunch of mentally unstable teenagers shooting fireballs doesn't contribute much to a stable society. But the Snake Island people thought this was cringe, so they decided to rebel in hopes of, nicely asking her to stop. She can cut islands in half. I genuinely don't know what they were really hoping of achieving there. But luckily for them, and unluckily for every single Ronin in the bloody country, Steve Wangchops showed up, and he decided to help out the Snake Island army. For reasons, I guess. And they appreciated it so much that, as a token of friendship, they decided to make Steve the captain of an elite squad of operatives, known as Swordfish 2. Presumably because Blobfish 4 and Lumpsucker 7 were already full that day. But things quickly start taking a turn turn for the worst when members of the Snake Island army start mysteriously dying, which I'm sure has nothing to do with these bootleg visions they keep getting from the Fatui. Surprise, it has everything to do with that. And Steve almost gets murked by Big Head Logan, who works for the Fatui now and also got his powers back, but is saved at the last moment by the one actual competent adult in Inazuma, who also has an actual plan on how to solve this massive clown show, which mainly involves a healthy mix of the power of friendship and extreme bloody violence, with which they get A to stop being depressed and even style all over that lady that they vented at one time, which is still very hilarious by the way, while they're at it. So things are pretty neat now. The war is over, people can have their cool superpowers back, and there is even an adorable little puppy. Oh, but also Big Head Boy yoinked the noses in the process, and also we don't know where your sister is, so here's a gift bag. Thanks for saving the country and all that, and bye. What? No, but like seriously, they all show up at her palace and they see Raiden, just their Archon, ready to strike Steve down in full battle mode, and their first instinct is just like, yeah guys, let's take her, she can take all of us, let's charge her. Like what the fuck?